Hey everybody, it is June 25th. It is Sunday and of 2023. I am currently on the Indianapolis Loop 465, and I am heading towards my target right now is Noblesville, Indiana, to intercept a tornado-warned storm that is currently coming in that direction. I'm about roughly 10 to 13 minutes out. I'm actually looking to go to Westfield, which is a little to the west of Noblesville. So that's the goal right now. It just went tornado warned maybe 5 minutes ago. There are 3 decent supercells here in this area just west of Indianapolis that are moving east. And as I was coming into Indianapolis, I was actually looking at the southernmost of the 3 storms on satellite. Looked like it had the better overshooting top, but just as I was about to make that decision, the one on the north end, which is now the one I'm targeting, all of a sudden looked like it also had it was overshooting the top and wind tornado warned. So and it looks to be a little better separated from the other cells. So the concern right now is that these cells are eventually here going to merge into a line of storms. They have typically the best tornadic potential when they are not in a line of storms. So as they are isolated as a supercell, and it's certainly happening a little bit further west than I was expecting. So I'm actually driving a little further west than I thought I would have to, but that's the goal. And this one here, that as I'm heading towards Noblesville, seems to be the one with the most potential. So that's where we're heading. I will give you a front view here shortly. I'm going to take this exit. We are under a tornado watch as well until I believe right now it's set till 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I am actually, being in Indianapolis here, I'm right on the border of the Eastern and Central time zone. But I've not crossed over into the Central time zone yet. All right, I'm getting a little bit of rain. So I'm getting off on the Keystone Parkway exit off of 465 on the north end of Indianapolis. It's green. You can go. Very good. And this is going to take me up to Highway 31 North. I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to flip the view. Remember how to do this. Give you back camera view. And I will adjust things a little bit. So Sorry if I lost you there. All right, so again, we're heading up towards Westfield, Indiana, about 7 minutes out. We're approaching. You can see the storm ahead of us here already. I don't know when I dropped off, but I was talking about the three supercells that are currently west or just north of Indianapolis. As I was coming from Cincinnati to Indianapolis, I was looking at the southernmost of those three that seem to have the best view from satellite. The cloud and the overshooting top looked a lot better, stronger, which is what I liked. So I was about to, as I was pulling over, because I could tell it was going to be a crapshoot between the one south and the one north. The one north wasn't as big, and at the time didn't have the overshooting top that I liked in the southern one, but it was certainly more isolated. And so I was going to pull over and just before I made a decision, just as I was pulling over, taking an exit, the one north, which I'm heading towards now, went tornado warned, and certainly started developing a hook that I liked. Now, of course, as I'm heading north here, the one south also has gone tornado warned, developed a bit of a hook. But I've committed for right now anyway, so I'm heading north. And you can see the storm right ahead of us. I'm going to make a quick note. All right, so what do you think? Should I have gone south towards Spencer, the one that's heading towards Bloomington? That thing's big. It's almost, to me, it's almost too big and not isolated enough, which is why I'm not as crazy about it. But again, I am coming up to Westfield and Sheridan. I'm starting to see now already the lowering. On this storm. You guys can see it there on the view screen. It's just off to the left, the wall cloud. You can see the beaver tail coming into it, almost straight ahead of us off the road. And I am actually gonna exit. We came up on this thing fast. if there's fewer trees. I don't like the trees I'm looking at up here. I'm going to go up a little further here. So I'm looking at, what do we got here? Highway, State Road 38. Ooh, straight above us here to the right, getting some good rotation. We're actually getting right under it. State Route 38 here is going to take us a little southeast, which is good. Rotation right here off to the right. You can see on the screen. It's right above us to the right. Tornado warning. A lot of brake lights up ahead. Yeah, we're right under it. A little too far north. I gotta get south. Oh my gosh, right above us, dude, right above us. There's a clear slot right, basically right up ahead of us. Clear slot. Where are we at? So as I'm looking at the radar, the primary rotation looks to be just to our left. I don't like all these trees. There's I'm looking at Hinkle Road off of State Road 38. Up ahead here to the left is maybe an opportunity for me to quick get out. Hinkle Road. We're going to take a little left right here. Definitely some action, but it is getting east of us. All right, so that was definitely rotating. Looked like it was forming a little bit of a funnel there, just not tight enough. So we are going to keep heading southeast, State Route 38. So right now it's just off to our left. Try and get you a little coverage here. You can see this is where we're at right now. And I'm gonna stay here in State Route 38, I think. Gets me south of this little lake that's up here. You can definitely hear the tornado sirens going off. I haven't seen anything on the ground yet, but it's the rotation's right over here. Yep. I gotta navigate here a little bit. So we're coming into Noblesville, Indiana. The main rotation, if you've got your radar app, but it's basically just going through Cicero, Indiana. And I am going to, I don't know if I want to just keep following this. It's taking me maybe a little bit further south than I want to go, but it's a good route. It's taking me down to Pendleton. If there weren't so many trees, it would be just fine. It'd be perfect because I'd be able to see the bottom of the storm. But with these trees, it's intermittent. All right, I'm going to go to Noblesville, Indiana 38 and go through Noblesville. Is there a way around? Actually, there's a way around, so I don't have to go through downtown. What road is this? Peg Road. See, look at these trees. See, this is the kind of crap I wanted to avoid. Here comes law enforcement. All right, right now, it's not looking beautiful. So, I think I'll just go through Noblesville. Because right now, I don't think there's anything major to see, and I could be wrong, but thanks for tuning in, those of you that are watching. If you know about Stormfront Freaks, we do a bi-weekly show live on YouTube Thursday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. And then we also edit that and make it available as an audio podcast. You can basically find everything at stormfrontfreaks.com. But today is kind of one of those rare days that we might have a decent chase in the Indiana, Ohio area. So I live kind of near Cincinnati. Excuse me. And so we don't get a ton of good isolated supercell kind of days here. You see a little mammatus up there? You guys see that? All right, so I am going to want to head maybe north a little bit. I'm going to go. Ooh, a lot of officers here all of a sudden. They're all heading that way. Wonder why. All right, so I'm going to take 38. And this is going to have me head east. And then I'm going to take 37 and take that north. How's that one down south by Bloomington looking? That's big. All right, so welcome to Noblesville, Indiana. Here the sirens are still going off. The circulation would just be to our left. Not much to see here right now as we're heading through downtown Noblesville. LC, what's up, LC? Hey, Garrett's on. I think you're making a good play. Thanks. I could join and run radar help. Sure, Brady, if you're watching. All right, how do I get Brady? Need to invite, copy. All right, going through downtown, slowing me down a little bit. But if I get on 37, that will steer me a little bit northeast, which will be good. Couplet, looks like the couplet's forming up here again a little bit more than it was. Here's my turn. I see a horse trailer up in front of me taking a turn onto 37 North too. It's usually never a good thing, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Playing it safe today. Got my safety yellow Stormfront Freaks vest on. Hopefully nobody hits me today. Sim Hobby, what's up? I see you're on. Thank you. We'll see if Brady gets on. So if you don't know Brady Harris, he's one of our co-hosts with the Freaks. Oh, it's two-lane highway. That's good. All right, so now main rotation will be a little bit to your right, on the right of the screen. This should take us north and a little east and a little north and a little northeast. Might want to find a more east route though. 206th Street. That might not be bad. Right now, this storm, which is approaching Anderson, Indiana, almost appears to be breaking off. It's hard to tell. Definitely a second little circulation in there, but we want to watch until 11 o'clock Eastern. street. Right up here. We're going to be getting into some fields, which will be a little better because we'll have a better view of things, which is definitely good. As soon as I take a right up here, we'll have a pretty good view of things. All right, so this is going to take us due east. All right, where are those fields I saw earlier? Right now it's getting a little messy. Looking at radar. Storm's getting a little messy, but again, we should be able to see hopefully the left side of this thing. Here's the fields, but I want the fields on the left. There we go, see it a little better. I'll probably move this down just a tad. All right, what do we got? Here we go. I'm going to give you a better view. I'm going to take it slow right here. So that's what we're looking at. I'm gonna keep heading east. Main part of the rotation appears to still be east of us a little bit, so gonna keep moving. Put this back for the moment. Garrett, glad you're able to catch us, man. Just joined. There's Brady. I'm popping Brady in.
Hey, what's up, Phil? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Brady. What's up?
Nothing much. How's things going on the road?
Pardon me?
How's things going?
Pretty good. We're on a storm. It's getting a little messy at the moment, but we're able to stick with it here, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was watching on radar, and there's some. I mean, they just have issued like 4 or 5 warnings for those cells just up and down that line in the past 15 minutes. So I think it's starting to get into the more moist air, and the helicity is really starting to pick up too. So I think these storms are just kind of getting started.
If there's if you happen to see any south of where I'm at that are starting to look better,
yeah,
I guess let me know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of cells right now that are, the one just south of Indianapolis it's got a decent hook on it, but the one just to the south, about to hit Bloomington, is really starting to ramp up in terms of the rotation. But I almost think you're too far away from that one to be able to catch up to that.
Well, as I was coming to Indianapolis, that was initially going to be the one I was targeting. It looked better on satellite. The top looked like it was overshooting better, but this one north looked isolated.
Yeah,
better isolated than that one did. And as I was pulling over, because I'm like, I better, before I just commit, let me take a look at it. And just as I was taking the exit to look at it, this one went tornado warned and started looking really good.
Yeah, it did. I was watching this one on radar, and that was kind of the only storm in town that looked like it had a bit of a hook on it. But I think regardless, I think you're on a good storm, and as it continues to move into the area that has the highest helicity and the highest shear, I think you're going to be in good shape. I mean, I think all of those, any storm that moves in as it moves into that environment, is just going to continue to rotate like crazy. So. Phil, do you know, so in terms of radar, do we have, is there like an official, I know we have like an official Storm Fund Freaks sponsor.
Zoom radar is what we've got on our website. And it allows, you can follow storm chasers as well, but it's not going to show velocity.
Okay.
So if you've got access to pull something else up that will give you velocity on the screen, that's fine.
Okay. Let me pull something up real quick and I can start sharing.
Oh, jeez.
Drop the phone there, Phil?
Yeah, my iPad fell off my magnet mount.
Oh, you hate that.
Did you find else?
Maybe. I don't know. Dude, it's crazy, man. The quality of houses in Columbus is, I mean, and all the ones I saw that I was going to go see today, a couple of them got bought. So I just, went and saw a couple, and they were just not great. Wow, that Phil, that looks, I mean, that's definitely a lowering there. Is there any rotation on that?
Not huge. I'm seeing some stuff actually now right above me. That's moving. I'm not seeing any like real concrete rotation right now. I certainly did earlier. I had stopped for a moment before I got into Noblesville.
Mm-hmm.
And there was definitely some rotation then, and even looked like it might tighten up a little bit into a funnel, but it never did. At least not that I could see.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking on radar right now. Hold on, let me pull it up. So you're on that. Okay, so that northward cell now is not tornado warned anymore.
Yeah, I see that.
The cell that you're on is not tornado warned anymore, but it almost looks like it's recycling. And I think they just or are about to issue a tornado watch for the Greater Columbus area. Let me see if I can pull that up so we can share it with our viewers. For Columbus, Cincinnati, yep, it was issued. Let me go ahead and share my screen because I think this is going to be important for anyone living in those areas that are, as these storms move downstream. Oh, wow, it says EF2 tornadoes moderate, which you don't see around this area. I see Garrett's on. Garrett, welcome. Garrett's always on, man. He's solid. All right, so for those that are watching, it looks like the threat is going to continue, and this runs until about 11 p.m. tonight. The threat of tornadoes is going to continue even into portions of Cincinnati, Dayton. I think those areas were kind of under the gun at the beginning of the day, but I think the other surprise to me, at least, is they've extended it as far east as Mansfield, which was barely on the edge of the 2% tornado risk at the beginning of the day. So I'm thinking that the National Weather Service is seeing something about these storms that's indicating they're going to continue to kind of stay. Looks like they're starting to kind of congeal into kind of a mass, but I think there still is going to be a threat for even in that line that develops some of the rotation. But it does look like, Phil, it does look like a lot of the tornadoes are kind of shifting to the south. A lot of the discrete cells to the south are really starting to ramp up. And that north stuff is all kind of combined or starting to combine into a big mass.
All right, so I'm still going to hang with this one just for maybe a little bit longer. Because it's got on the reflectivity, it's showing kind of a little bit of a hook there. And I see some rotation right above me. You can see on the screen. You see that? It's basically almost, it's right above us. You can see it on the camera. And this is exactly where that reflectivity hook looks like. I'm almost to that reflectivity hook.
Yeah.
So I might pull off just for a second up here.
Wow. Phil, there's some pretty intense inflow coming to that thing, man. All right. Well, looks like we lost Phil here. For those that are kind of tuning in, we are looking, and let me go back to the base reflectivity here. So Phil is on this storm up here, just northeast of Indianapolis. And right now it is, let me refresh this real quick because I know the last scan had this as a tornado warning. That tornado warning is now expiring. And it's just severe thunderstorm warned at this point. So it's this storm up here, and Phil, I think, is just north of Pendleton here. And you can kind of see it on this radar. This radar isn't great. This is the National Weather Service radar. I'm trying to get access to a better radar as we speak. But this storm right now does look like it's recycling just a bit as it kind of moves into an area that has more some more instability and is a little bit more fresh. Now, I do want to take a quick sec and show everyone to the south, because these are really where our major, a lot of the active tornado warnings are down here. And I believe there is a confirmed tornado with one of these. I have to look through the warnings to get which one. But we have 3 kind of tornado warnings, one just south of Indianapolis. Zooming in here, if there would be a tornado, it'd be on the southern side. And just comparing this to the radar that I'm seeing, it's looking pretty. There's a pretty strong hook with this storm. I know it's not showing up on this radar, but there is a pretty strong hook with this storm. So those that are in, Needham, Shelbyville, you need to be getting to your safe space. If any of you guys are watching on the stream and that are in there, if any of you guys are chasing around this area, this storm is packing not only some significant hail, but also potentially a tornado on this storm. And let me pull up that tornado warning too, so I can kind of read the text for that. I don't know if you can do that on this app. And you can actually see, don't know where that took us down there. Okay, it took us to this radar. Okay, so this is a different radar site that we're looking at now. You can kind of see on the latest radar scan from the Indianapolis radar that I'm logging on to. Let's go back down to this cell. It's looking pretty vicious in terms of the hail core. And looking down just south of where that one cell is, let me switch radars here to a different radar. I'm just kind of getting used to this radar. So let's see if I can get to another radar. Okay, so these storms down here are in a bit of radar gap. And Phil, do we have you back?
Yep.
Awesome. Some pretty strong inflow there, man.
Yeah, there's definitely some starting right there. There's still, on the reflectivity, there's still a little hook showing there by Anderson.
But we kind of lost you there for a second.
Okay. So Anderson is right in front of me. I'm heading east on State Road 32. Again, the main part of this cell, the lowering and everything's just almost due straight ahead of me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a bit of a lowering there. Right now it is.
I don't want to give up on this. What were you going to say?
Yeah, right now it's still severe thunderstorm warned, but it is it's still isolated. I mean, it still has inflow coming right into it. So all it needs to do is just pick up a little bit of that vorticity, and wow.
The other side of me, Greenwood, Shelbyville, is that to break off and head south for?
Say that again, Phil.
All right, so there is a storm just due south.
Yep.
Near.
And I think Phil is actually talking about this cell right here. That's in Shelbyville. Let's look at the latest scan here. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get a better radar for us on the fly here. So for those that are just kind of tuning in, I think Phil's stream may have cut out for just a quick, brief second. So we have an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms. And right now, I'll just show I know we're not sharing my screen, but the threat is from northern Ohio all the way down to southern parts of Indiana, northern parts of Kentucky, and then continuing on in west central Ohio. All right, Phil, we got you back, man.
Yep. I'm about to give up on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, tornado siren's going off.
The tornado siren going off? Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's trying to tell you something.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything issued right now, but.
Yeah. Let me look and see what I got. Yeah, there's no tornado warning on that storm, but tell you what, Phil, you were talking about that storm to the south of or just north of Shelbyville.
Yeah, what do you think of that one?
That one's looking. I mean, rotation isn't overly impressive, but it's got that classic shape. And I think I'm just looking at the tornado warning. I think there was a confirmed tornado with this. No, it was just a radar indicated. But I was watching a stream that had some. I think there was a tornado on the ground with that, maybe about 10 minutes ago. So it has a history of producing tornadoes, and it's. I mean, your storm's kind of it's starting to get pretty messy with all of that. It's going to suck in all of that rain to the south of it. That's just going to cause problems, I think, for any mesocyclone that tries to develop.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm still sitting right where the velocity radar is showing any circulation right now. It's still right here. It's on screen.
Yeah.
But it's right now it's probably the least impressive it's been since I've been on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna head south.
Yeah, I would target that Shelbyville storm, and if I guess you're just south of Anderson, right, on that storm, maybe just northwest of Pendleton.
I am in Anderson right now.
Okay.
And I am going to head through Anderson and then take. I don't know what this is called. Scatterfield Road.
Yeah, and I almost think that to catch up with that storm, I almost think you got to aim for, I don't know, maybe Rushville or maybe even further east. It's starting to. It was kind of moving due east. It's starting to move a little bit southeast, mostly due east, but a little bit southeast. So. I mean, it's kind of perfect. It's going to take you right back into Cincinnati, that storm in Shelbyville.
It says it's going. All of these are going about 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So not super fast, not super slow.
Yeah, and that storm will be, that'll be a problem in about an hour or two for, northern parts of Cincinnati, like Hamilton, Mason, Loveland. So if any of you guys are in those areas, make sure. Wow, some of these storms to the south. I'm just looking on radar scope. There is looks like there's a tornado on the ground. Wow, with crazy hail. Let me see if I can get that on the radar, Phil, so we can show that on the side.
I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna shoot for Connorsville.
Yeah, it's a good target. Wow.
So it gets me out ahead. I'm now getting into because we're close to Oxford.
Yeah.
That's over by Connorsville. There's a big lake there.
Well, I tell you what, the storm on the very south part of that line, moving through French Lick into Paola, right on State Route 145, is wow. If there isn't a tornado on the ground, or if there is a tornado on the ground, it means business, because that velocity is crazy. And let me actually share. Let me stop sharing and reshare, because I think it's just sharing that one. Yeah, here we go. Let me see if I can pull up. So it's this cell, right on pretty much on the south side of the line, moving right into French Lick. Let me pull up the velocity here, because this thing means business. Yeah, it's a little bit less organized, I think, than it was, but anyone in Hillham, Norton, Crystal, this storm is kind of moving to the south at 40, southeast at 40 miles an hour. So anyone in Greenbrier, Youngs Creek, French Lick, you need to be getting to a safe spot. I don't know if any of our viewers are there, or any of the chasers are on that storm, but that cell's looking pretty impressive. Let me see if there's anything on the correlation coefficients, or if there's anything on the storm relative. Yeah, the storm relative shows that, I think, a little bit better. I know this is a little bit lower res, but these green and reds, that's a pretty strong rotation indicated there. So let's check the correlation coefficient. Yeah, there could be some noise, but also that's not a good sign there. Dark blues indicate things that should not be lofted into the air. It's indicating that there could be debris or other things potentially. Some of this is noise, but the fact that it corresponds also with the couplet there is not good news for anyone in that area. So. All right, Phil, let's take a look. I'm gonna show back up north. The storm that Phil is targeting is, I believe it's this isolated storm that's just going through Shelbyville, moving into Rushville. It looks like it's still tornado warned, Phil. It's got a little bit of a hook on it. It does look like it's got a good amount of clearing in front of it, so that means we should be able to pull in air and won't get choked out by any sort of rain out in front. So Phil, I think that's a good target. Your storm up to the north that you were on is is kind of falling apart a little bit. It's kind of all merging together with a bunch of other storms. So
yeah. No, I agree that I think that one's done. This one south of us now, Shelbyville, is looking a little weak too, I guess. Rotation wise is weakened. But it's the closest one we got. So
yeah, and let me just pull up. See if I can pull up the meso analysis to see, Phil, what the environment looks like out in front of that. So if we were to look at our, I'm mostly thinking about shear and helicity. Let's look at. Okay, so there is some helicity out in front, Phil, of that storm. You know, it's the bullseye is a little bit to the west, but I think as this low tightens up, I think you know, it's not incredibly impressive out in front, but still, I mean, the shear's still 35 to 40, so that's pretty good for anything moving into that environment.
okay.
Phil, are you seeing many chasers out there today?
I have seen a number of vehicles either stopped, you know, along the side of the road and such, but I haven't seen necessarily anybody that would identify, like, oh, there's a chaser.
Yeah.
Because either I didn't see cameras out or I didn't see, you know, it was just vehicles, trucks and vehicles pulled off on the side of the road watching. Got it. But I haven't seen anything that definitely pegged as a chaser.
Okay. Well, I guess that's at least good, right? No chaser convergence.
Well, there's a lot of targets today, so they could be spread all over the place.
Yeah. I think the good news about the cell you're on, Phil, is it's isolated, right? It's kind of by itself. There's nothing really around it. A lot of the cells to the south are all kind of just looking on our radar here. They're all very close to one another. So all of these, you know, from Columbus, Indiana, down through Bedford, Indiana, you know, there's about 4 cells here that are all so close that I think they're really going to struggle to get going in term, you know, with any tornadoes. I wouldn't put it past, you know, let's look at this Bloomington cell right here. But I wouldn't expect to see, there's some rotation there, and there could be a tornado on this storm, but it is fairly close to the cell just to the south of it. But
part of it too is that, you know, now as you're getting down to Bloomington, that is not really good chase territory.
Yeah.
A lot of trees, you know, you eventually there you're going to start getting into, they'll cross the river into Kentucky. And though the potential looked pretty good, I would have rather, which is what I did, shoot for something up here in central Indiana than, you know, go for the river border by Louisville and you know, between Bloomington and Louisville. And I've been down there too many times, and I get frustrated a lot because of the terrain and the road.
You get stuck. Yeah, you get stuck.
Lots of trees, lots of windy roads.
I will say, Phil, that storm that you're on does look like it. I mean, it had a pretty impressive supercell structure about 20 minutes ago. It just looks like it's recycling, to be quite honest.
The one I was on, or I'm going on now?
The one you're going to. The one you're going on. The one you were on was it's pretty much. I mean, it's merged a couple of times. It looks still impressive in terms of a severe thunderstorm, but it's not. It does not have good rotation or, you know, anything you look for in terms of tornadoes. So I think you're making the right call.
All right, let's see if I can give you an update of where I'm at. So I am south of Anderson.
Got it.
Yeah, just south of Anderson. I passed Indiana 67 south, a big highway there. It looks like south of Anderson.
Yep. So he's probably, for those that can see the screen, Phil is probably in this area, anywhere from New Columbus to Mechanicsburg or Middletown. And Phil's rushing. Where's your target, Phil? Where are you going?
Connorsville, Indiana.
Yeah. And I almost think with this thing racing, you might meet it in Oxford, because this thing's already, it's getting to Rushville right now, which I think is maybe 10 miles just east of Connorsville, or sorry, west of Connorsville. But this storm does have some pretty impressive hail. It's still tornado warned. It's got an inflow notch, which means it's still getting good, more moist air. It's clean air, and it's starting to wrap around on the backside. It was just a severe thunderstorm warning was just issued out in front of it for Rushville, Richland, Gowdy, Moscow, Clarksburg. So this thing is still got a long ways to go before it. I'm seeing a lot of good signs with this storm in terms of it's moving into an area where it's got some clearing to the south. It's got plenty of room to get in any inflow that it needs to get to wrap up. So
I'm taking a route that's going to hook me up with I-70 east. So once I get on that, I'll be able to jump east pretty fast.
Right. Yep, and I see toy car crash said just got issued a tornado watch. Yeah, I think I'm assuming you're talking about the watch that was issued for the Columbus, for Cincinnati, for Dayton. And let's go back there to the Storm Prediction Center just to kind of show folks the latest watch that was issued. It was issued generally for Cincinnati, Covington, Kentucky, Dayton, Columbus, Ohio, Findlay, even up in Toledo and in Detroit. So this is a pretty big tornado watch, and they think that the storms, as they move into Ohio, will continue to have the possibility to remain tornadic. If we can look at something I always look for is down at the bottom here. Whenever you get a tornado watch issued, they'll indicate probabilities of tornadoes, strong tornadoes, which are EF2 plus. And in this case, this is rare for you to see this in Ohio for a moderate watch for EF2 plus tornadoes. They think at least a 40% probability of seeing those, and so moderate to high across the board, which is, it indicates that the environment is ripe for some pretty significant severe weather. And I always like to read. We always like to read this. We always like to read, the primary threats, because that really gives us an idea of what the National Weather Service thinks is going to happen. And they do mention a few tornadoes, with a couple intense tornadoes possible. When they say intense, that's that EF2 plus tornadoes that they're talking about. So this is pretty rare for. It's not a PDS tornado watch, but it's rare to see this type of language used around this area. So.
It looks like, Brady, the storm here I'm heading to, which is near right now, it's Linville, Indiana. It looks like they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning and haven't extended the tornado warning.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, and they've issued actually 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. They've issued one for the kind of the immediate storm, and then they've issued one well out in front of it, in pretty much centered around Brookville and Blooming Grove, Metamora. I mean, that's about 30 miles outside of the storm right now. So I think they think, and it doesn't look that impressive on radar. It's definitely still got an inflow notch, but it's having a hard time kind of wrapping around there. Let's look at the velocity here on this. Okay, it's still got a general broad area of rotation fill on this storm. So as it moves kind of across the border into some of that air that hasn't been touched yet, it's got a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. Exactly. Wow. And I tell you what, the storm down that we looked at earlier, that French Lick storm, there's still a tornado warning on this storm, and there's some strong inflow, man, coming into this thing. And look at that latest scan. I mean, there's two couplets here, which is crazy. If I'd have to peg, or if I'd have to bet where a tornado would be, I would bet that it would be down in the on this storm down just southeast of French Lick, moving through Greenbrier right now, moving into areas of Bacon, Persontown, Valany, and then eventually into Fredericksburg. That storm looks pretty nasty right now.
Yeah, it does. I agree. Plus, it's the furthest southern storm, so there's nothing really getting in the way.
Exactly.
How close is that to the river, to crossing over to Kentucky? Is that headed towards Louisville?
It is. It's headed right towards Louisville. So, and right now I think there's two total active tornado warnings right now, but there is a tornado warning actually active down in Alabama that we're not necessarily looking at. But if I go back to the radar here, this is just kind of shows you how impressive this event is. I mean, we have storms from up in Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, all the way up into parts of Traverse City, in a basically a broken line, all the way down to even into areas in Arkansas. I mean, we have severe thunderstorm, we have flash flood warnings, special weather statements down here, which is just kind of shows you the impressive the span of this event is pretty wild. It's kind of unheard of for this time of year.
Well, they really covered a big area with their enhanced risk.
Yeah, it was huge.
Overnight, that was interesting to wake up to that.
Yeah,
upgrade
was
in
wild.
Such a large area.
Yeah.
Do you know, have there been, if you go to SPC, do you know how to find the storm reports? To see if anything's been recorded?
Yeah, let me...
if you go to the SPC homepage, and then beneath the Outlook maps, off to the lower right, there should be a easy link to the storm report, just to see. And then usually it shows yesterday, and then you have to forward it to today to see if there's been anything reported officially yet that they've recorded.
Yeah, it's showing me yesterday. I'm trying to see how I'll do today.
I think up at the top you can choose forward or backward a day.
Yeah, it says event list. Let's see if I can. June 25th. Let's see what we got. All right, I'm going to see if it'll pop anything up here. I do not see anything yet.
Okay.
Not officially, at least. On
I was
radar.
just I was curious if there was anything that came out of the. There were a couple tornado warnings earlier this afternoon in northern Indiana, and I was just curious if anything came of that.
Yeah, I know there was some reports. Just looking on radar scope, there was some tornado reports or funnel cloud reports with the storm you were on, and then that Shelbyville storm that you're going towards. There was a tornado report on that at 417 by a storm spotter. But I do not see anything else at this point. Is MJ back there too, Phil?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is MJ back there too? Is he behind the scenes controlling everything?
No.
Okay. Okay, cool.
He is not. I'm controlling stuff from my iPad when I can.
Cool.
So I'm gonna have to, because it still has me. I'm about 5 miles from getting on Interstate 70, but it still has me about 45 minutes from Connorsville.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get on 70. I'm probably gonna have to go further.
Yeah, I would go almost towards
east,
like Oxford,
maybe Richmond, and then drop south from there from Richmond.
Yep. Yeah, I almost think you'll if you book it, you should be able to get it by Oxford. I'm almost thinking. Of course, you're very familiar with that area, so
I am.
You know better than me.
There's the only thing between Brookville, Oxford, there's some lakes over there that sometimes make getting around that area a little difficult. But if you're trying to go east and west,
yep.
Is that going pretty much due east? Is that?
It is, yeah. It's got just a little bit of a southern component to it, but the warnings indicate that it is moving primarily east. But I think everything today is going to take a little bit of an east. Then if it starts really wrapping up into a possible mesocyclone or a tornado, I bet it'll take a little bit of a jog south. But right now it's directly east. And Phil, I actually do have to run for a little bit, so I'll be back on. But okay. I think this was I wanted to try and hop on and give folks a little bit of a taste of the radar. I think we're in a little bit of a lull, but I think I'll be back in probably about an hour and 15, and who knows, I may be chasing when I get back from that.
Do you can you leave your
radar up?
Mute your camera and mic, but leave your radar up and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me try and center it right here.
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'll leave it up.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, Phil.
All right. Yep. Good seeing you, Brady.
Yeah, good seeing you too. Right now it's kind of centered in the. Yeah, this is good. This is like our main area we're going to be focused on. Okay. See you, Phil.
All right. See you.
Bye.
All right. I'm going to change our camera. so just give you an idea here where I'm currently at. So I am just north of Charlottesville. I'm about to jump on I-70 and head east to Dayton and Columbus. I'm going to try and book east quite a bit, maybe to Richmond, Indiana, to then try and head south to intercept this storm that's near Milroy, Indiana right now. It's currently severe thunderstorm warned, but I believe it still's got there's still a couplet in there. And so I think it still has a chance, and it's definitely still worth trying to go after. It's also, for the most part, the best looking supercell that's near me at this point. Plus, heading in that direction is actually conveniently taking me back home. So it'll actually work out well, and it'll work out great if I catch it and get a chance to see it do something. That Brady was talking about, and it is true, it is nicely isolated. So, the good news is that right now, although there is there's some rain out in front of it, which usually that doesn't help because that'll kind of tend to suck in cooler air. But the good news is there's really no cells north or south of it that would threaten killing it off. So again, it's just whether or not pulling, which let's be honest, it might be, because it's no longer tornado warned. It is severe thunderstorm warned. Braves beat the Reds 7-6. Another close game by the Redlegs. Wow, that was a heck of a series. Get off the topic a little bit. Cincinnati Reds started the weekend series versus the Atlanta Braves. Two teams that are in first place in their division. Cincinnati was riding an 11-game winning streak, and they won the first game, I think, like 10-9 on Friday night to make it a 12-game winning streak. They lost Saturday, like 7-6 maybe, or no, that was today. So maybe it was like 8-7. It was a one-run game. The Reds came back with 2 solo home runs in the bottom of the 9th to make it a one-run game. They couldn't tie it to send it to extra innings. But again, another exciting game. And then it looks like today I was listening to it most of the day on the chase until I kind of lost it as I was getting into Indianapolis. And it looks like they lost by a run. So I was curious how that all played out. I think when I lost it, they were tied 3-3. All right, so I'm now on I-70. And the hope here is that this will now give me the chance, because right now the storm is almost due south. The any circulation right now in the storm, which is near Milroy, Indiana. I can't really see Brady's map to see what town is showing up on there, but it's kind of, if you look at Brady's map, the storm I'm heading to is kind of the one right in the center. If you look top to bottom and look in the middle, it's the one that's right in the center. And that is heading near Connorsville, Brookville, Oxford, Ohio area. And again, it's somewhat isolated. As you can see, it's got certainly some rain out in front of it, which might be what's maybe slowly killing this thing. I was hoping, as Brady was talking about, might be there's still some circulation in there by Milroy. I'm not going to give up on this thing yet. Who do we got? We got Raptor Gamer. 720 is on. What's up, Raptor Gamer? And Jay. Now, Jay is speaking Spanish. I don't have the ability to translate that right now at this point. Sorry, Jay. I see Dan Wallace was or is on. What's up, Dan? Yeah, I'm not completely giving up on this Milroy storm. It still has kept some isolation there. Like I said, it could be pulling in some cooler air from the rain out front of it, but it is, like I said, we're almost due north of it. We are right now going through or near Spiceland in Greensboro, Indiana, to give you a little idea. Pretty soon we'll be just a little south of Newcastle, Indiana. We're on I-70 heading east. And at some point, I'm going to need to decide to drop south. And unfortunately, anything that I choose to drop south on is going to be some kind of back roads, which means I'll be slowed down a little bit. So I just got to decide. I think I'm at least probably going to head to Richmond, Indiana, before I drop south. And looking right now, it looks like there's only one tornado warned storm, and that is southeast of Bloomington. It's now near approaching Seymour, Indiana. And that's the one that Brady and we've been talking about here for a while. It's actually that storm. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go backwards and figure out if that was the one initially I was going to target. And I decided to head north because it popped the tornado warning. And that one is now so that's in Muncie. So the storm I was on is near Muncie. It looks like it's wrapping up or finishing a severe thunderstorm warning. Would doubt they're probably going to extend that, but who knows? That's the one that I was on that was tornado warned for a while. We did see some strong rotation. I pulled over at one point. Where was that? It was near Noblesville. And had some good rotation. Looked like there was a good possibility it was going to drop something, but didn't. And then the further it went east, the weaker it got. So then we made a decision while Brady was on. We made a decision here to head south towards this storm that was, again, at the time tornado warned. It is now severe thunderstorm warned. And it is in Milroy, Indiana. So that's the one I'm going to target. And I'm on I-70 heading east. Maybe to Richmond is where I'll drop south, just because I'm a little more familiar with that area. See how fast this is moving. So it says moving east at 40 miles an hour. Most of these storms here all afternoon have been moving about 40 miles an hour. It says 2-inch hail, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Just a reminder, if you live in Indiana, so there is still a tornado warning storm down in southern Indiana near Seymour, Brownstown, Crothersville, and approaching North Vernon, Lovett, Austin, those areas. So again, just and really anybody, just be weather aware. A lot of these maybe have lost their tornado warning, but they still are severe thunderstorm warned, and still have the potential to ramp back up and build some circulation. There's one that's down near Milltown, Hardinsburg, that's heading southeast directly toward Louisville. So be aware of that as well. Storm I'm heading to looks like they did just extend the severe thunderstorm warning. So they just reissued that. Now includes Brookville, Cedar Grove, Bath, Indiana, Laurel, Metamora. All of you are now under the new severe thunderstorm warning. Just outside of Oxford and Riley, Ohio, and West College Corner. So again, if you live in those areas, be weather aware, seek shelter if you need to, find shelter if you have to. Let me see what it says. So remains in effect until 5:45 Eastern for Franklin County in southeastern Indiana, southern Union, and southern Fayette counties. At 5:16, a severe thunderstorm was located near Lake Santee, moving east at 50 miles an hour. Hazards include 60 mile per hour wind gusts and $50 size hail. So that's dropped a little bit from the 70 mile per hour winds. And I think 2-inch hail that the other one was in. Yeah, previously it said 2-inch hail, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Yeah, Garrett said there's still a lot of juice left, and there is, which is why any of these storms that are continuing to move east could at any point get the energy they need to ramp up. I haven't looked Brady's been on. That was helpful. I didn't have to look at sometimes challenge in chasing solo is you got to be good at multitasking. And so I'm going to double check, see what the SPC has got. And if you're not familiar, a great website, great resource, spc.noaa.gov. Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Basically does a lot of great work forecasting where the storms are going to be, what to expect. And then it's all of our more local weather forecast offices that issue the warnings. So the Storm Prediction Center will issue the watches. Oh, my camera's blind. Sorry, I can't go. Apparently, I can't go off of my tab to check other tabs, or you lose my signal. So hopefully, I'm back. My son Joshua must be watching. So Joshua, thank you for filling me in on that. Thanks for watching. Certainly, and just to let people know that the storms that are moving east, the ones that are down near Seymour and south of that are going to be crossing the Indiana-Kentucky border, those likely are going to be moving south of Cincinnati. But I'll tell you, there are some storms right now. So there's a storm that's now just east of Milroy, Indiana. It's severe thunderstorm warned. Moving into Blooming Grove and Brookville. That one continues to weaken, but it's certainly moving in a direction that it would be going to the north end of the Cincinnati suburbs. But if you happen to have radar, there are some storms now popping up behind that one. Again, near Linville, Marion, Shelbyville, Indiana. Popping up behind that. And I'm also looking down near Enberg. Little storm popping up there. Nineveh. Nineveh. Nineveh, Indiana. So again, as Garrett was talking about in the chat, there's still plenty of energy for these storms to be moving into still a lot of moisture, which is why you're kind of seeing now in front of these storms, there's just, there's some rain building and everything else. And it's still, 5:30 Eastern time. And so we still got a lot of time that the sun's been shining pretty bright ahead of these. Along with the moisture is going to be creating that instability. A lot still can happen. It's still pretty early. And this guy doesn't want to move over. So again, if you're looking at Brady's map, there in the center, which I can't control, Brady left for a little bit, but he left the map there for us. The center, if you look top to bottom, north to south, the center of that's kind of where I'm near. I'm near the center of that. I'm heading towards Richmond, Indiana. In fact, I'm getting close to Richmond. In which case, I might still head south from Richmond. Anyway, that's currently where we're at. And you can see a lot of the bright reds and oranges have kind of dissipated, and it's not as strong there any further. There is one, and I'm trying to see. It's really small on my screen, so I can't see it. But you can still see there in the center, there is a yellow box that is still severe thunderstorm warned. And that stayed there. So they've dropped the thunderstorm warning that was covering Brookville, Connorsville. They've dropped that now. So that cell that was at one point tornado warned is now not even severe thunderstorm warned. But they've basically kept, because I never saw them drop it, it says it expires in 0 minutes, but it's still there. But it is covering 2 cells that have been developing behind that storm that was heading towards Connorsville, near Milroy and Rushville, Indiana. And so that certainly, to me, is intriguing, because where the storm I was targeting now is slowly starting to die off, and I'm looking at the reflectivity part of the radar, you can see it was sucking in all that rain that's currently over Oxford, Eaton, Ohio, sucking all of that in, which is basically was killing it off. So I'm curious about what's going to happen to those cells maybe popping up behind that. Barbecue with Neil, welcome. Barbecue with Neil, are you in Ontario, Canada? Or are you referring to friends from Ontario, Canada? Oh, you are in Ontario, Canada. Cool. Welcome. All right, so I'm getting close here to Richmond. I got to make a decision if this is where I'm going to drop south. And I think it is. I think I will drop south here on 27. But I think I'm going to avoid, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to take 27, so I don't have to go through Richmond. I'm going to take 127 through Eaton. So I'm going to cross the border first before I drop south. I am being safe. Barbecue with Neil, thank you. I've got my bright yellow safety vest on if I need to get out of the car. And right now, I'll be honest, Barbecue with Neil, right now there is the storms that we're looking at this moment are not severe enough that it really is. I'm not putting myself in any danger at this point anyway. I'd be curious if, so down in Seymour, that's still tornado warned down there. Seymour, Indiana. 5:30, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located. Radar indicated rotation. So I'm curious if, and if anybody watching can chime in if you know if there's been any official tornado reports. Brady said there apparently was one on the storm that we're now targeting that's really not a storm anymore. That there was one reported on that one. But if anybody is aware of any official tornado reports so far, go ahead and chime in on the chat. So I look down, so I'm looking at that Seymour storm, you know, and if you're a storm chaser, or you certainly love, whoa, what's that? It's sailing. Wow. I am looking right now, that is weird. I am looking at my velocity radar. down at Salem, Indiana. So not crossing New Pekin, Pekin. There is a pretty sharp couplet right there. But when you look at the velocity radar, you're like, where is that coming? Like, what is that from? That must just be some weird rotation between a couple supercells that are there, because there's a supercell near Milltown and Palmyra. I totally screwed that up. I should be like Greg and I were, which is purposefully mess up these names because you're probably not going to get it right anyway. And then what is that? Orangeville and Orleans, Indiana. There's a supercell there. Kind of between those two supercells, you have Salem, Indiana. And there is a strange looking sharp couplet right there. And there is like no reflectivity right there. That is really strange. I am going to screenshot that because I want to find out what that was later. All right, so I'm currently coming up on Richmond, Indiana on I-70, just to give you an idea of where I'm at. And I'm still fascinated by what that couplet is. What on earth is that? What's up with Nolan? Wow. Does anybody else happen to see that? If you have access to your reflectivity radar, down by New Pekin, P-E-K-I-N, Indiana, south of Salem. It's like shifted south now all of a sudden. So it's got to be some weird, wind's got to be doing some weird stuff in between those supercells that are there to create that. Because that is just weird. Oh my gosh. I gotta post that. I gotta get some power back to you people. Got all these electronic devices you gotta keep powered up. So I am streaming off of my iPad, which is right here. So that's what I'm streaming off of. I realize that while I'm streaming, I can't really flip to radar and satellite and stuff like that, because then apparently you lose my signal. So I've got my iPad, actually right beneath that is my screen for my vehicle. I'm driving a Subaru Crosstrek. And so I've got navigation on my screen, so I can use that for navigation. So that's been helpful. Then I've got my hotspot. So I've got that, which is what I'm using to stream off of. Then I have my iPhone, which I've got right in front of me, and I use that for navigation. I'm obviously looking at the radar off of this. Oh, we got a big biker gang in front of us. Thank goodness we're going to be turning soon, I think. Right, you can't see them yet, but they're up there. And then what else do I got? That's it. So iPad, iPhone, hotspot right now, and then my dash, what do you call those in a car? That you've got your screen that you can do everything. I forget what you call those, but it's here in my dashboard. So if you missed it, Brady Harris was on with us earlier. He had pulled up the radar here for us because I can't share that from an iPad. And so he's got that pulled up. So he was with us for a while, filling us in on what was going on and where the storms were. But he had to take off for a little bit. Probably went to get dinner or something, I guess. But he left radar up for us. I'll be honest, right now, based on what I thought going into today, the activity here along the Indiana-Ohio border right now, I'm kind of unimpressed. I really thought there would be stronger storms even crossing the border, and they've really died down on us. I knew that you could tell that the Indiana-Kentucky border on the south was probably going to be busy and active, certainly later in the day. I mean, it's still only 5:40 Eastern, so it's still kind of early. And I knew that was going to be active, but if you've ever been to southern Indiana, western Kentucky, storm chasing, it's really not a lot of fun. It's a lot of hills, a lot of trees, and a lot of windy roads. And so it's just, it's really not a lot of fun. We'll just say that. Some beautiful areas. If you're not storm chasing, it's definitely, there's some enjoyable areas, but if you're chasing, it's not great. All right. So, folks, I'm looking at what we got here, prospects where I'm at near Richmond, Indiana, and even dropping south. I'm now contemplating just heading to Dayton and dropping south because it'll be a little faster. Because as of right now, there is nothing to drop south to. There's nothing to drop south to. We're coming up, if you can see on see if I can change this up here a little bit. So we are coming up on the rain. I'm not even going to call it storms. The rain that's ahead of us here, that's coming into Dayton. We are coming up on that here soon. We're probably going to end up driving through it if I go to Dayton, which I think at this point I will do, because I am not seeing anything south of us worth going after. And it's 5:45, but man, nothing's really happening with those storms behind the front line of rain. There are certainly some storms back there. They're just not doing much. I wonder what these bikes are going to do. They're just going to get wet, aren't they? They are just going to end up getting wet. So unless these storms in the back here, there's some right now. I'm looking near east of Milroy and Rushville. Those two storms that developed probably 30 minutes ago. Really haven't done much. There's now some developing behind those as well. Linville, Marion, Shelbyville, and we're crossing the Ohio border. Woo! But they're just not developing into anything that's I'm seeing any kind of rotation or anything with. I'm going to change my radar here. That certainly didn't help. Yep. So folks, here's what I'm going to do. So again, Stormfront Freaks, we do a live show every other Thursday night, usually 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. We'll have some great guests from the weather industry, whether it's storm chasers, photographers, meteorologists from television, we've had storm chasing video game developers, all kinds of cool stuff related to storms. If you love storms, check us out, stormfrontfreaks.com. You can follow us and subscribe right here on YouTube because you'll catch all of our live shows, or you can stream them after the fact. Or again, just go to stormfrontfreaks.com. We also develop that into a podcast. So once we do Stormfront Freaks live Thursday nights, we'll then make an audio podcast out of that and release that over the weekend. So check it out if you love weather, love storms. That's going to be great. We're going on 7 years of doing that now. We've been a top 10, top 20 weather podcast on Apple Podcasts. So you might enjoy it, but I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I don't think there's going to be anything able to and worth chasing at this point. So thanks for tuning in, and stay safe, everybody, and be weather aware.